Hi, my name is Mallory. I am in your summer human sexuality class online at KU this summer. So, for our book reports, I decided to do mine on passionate marriage. Um, it is Passionate Marriage Keeping Love and Intimacy Alive in Committed Relationships by David Schnark, I'm pretty sure is how you say his name. David does have a PhD. He wrote it and it was published in 2009. I think that there is no age he was primarily aiming at, but he definitely was aiming for couples who have been in a long term and a committed relationship and who are struggling to keep their intimacy alive for one another. And he is writing this in order to help them kind of get out of that sexual limbo or that rut. So, in his book, he not only had chapters, but he had three sections, which had which have tool building approaches to help awaken the passion and to keep the intimacy and love alive. Within these sections, each chapter is based off of a real life session he had with couples. He replays the section in the book and shows the struggle and what the couples need to overcome. David also shows what advice he offered to each couple to help them overcome their barriers. Another thing that completely intrigued me about this book was that he didn't focus on just one couple. He focused on multiple, and even in the other sections, it wasn't the same couple that I had read about previously. He made this book for more than just one type of relationship because he knows that no relationship is the same. It allows the reader to um, it allows the reader who is seeking help to identify with one of the couples who is going through what they are. I think it not only brings a sense of knowledge to the reader, but it also a sense that it will be okay, that they aren't the only couple that is going through a hard time. So now I'll kind of just tell you about the sections rather than each chapter because that will take forever. So, section 1 is labeled The Basics. Section 1 had 5 chapters with 5 couples, all with different marital struggles. While reading what the couples are going through, he focuses on differentiation between the couples and how this is bound to happen because it is a natural process in life, but also in marriage. So, David lets the reader know, as well as his couples he's in therapy with, that intimacy and sexual desire for the same partner after a period of time is a challenge. It's not something that's easy to overcome in a day. He lets them know that it will be a process. It's going to be hard, and you're going to have to stay strong and focus on the ending goal. He helps the couples understand what differentiation is and how he sees they are going to get through that. David then helps the couples build a brand new framework. Rather than trying to eliminate the differentiation between them, he helps them focus on it, embrace it because they are able to realize it, seeing it isn't detrimental in a marriage, and you are able to grow from it in an actual healthy way. So, after the couples are able to accept the differentiation in their relationship, they can now start focusing on the sex, intimacy, and many options on sexual potential and personal growth as an individual and a couple. He offers them a new technique of sexual desire and intimacy for each couple. In section 1, he shows 5 couples who all have different struggles of intimacy and the barriers they had to overcome and their daily struggles. He ends the section by comparing marriage comparing it as a growing machine. By a growing machine, he says that marriage invites you to stretch yourself and your relationship, but it is your choice. A piece of wisdom he also offers is that nobody is ready for marriage. Marriage is what makes you ready for marriage. Leading on to section 2, it is called the Tools for Connection. This section has 5 chapters as well that focus on 5 different couples who are also different than the previous 5 in section 1. This is where the book gets a little bit more kind of hot and steamy. Section 2 is primarily on the actual physical part, but before we get to the physical part, he does kind of do a little introduction to help couples get back into the pattern of sex. He helps them get back into that pattern by helping them develop a sense of self while being with their partner. So, after helping them gain a sense of self, he then digs deeper to show couples how they have been tricked into this illusion of having a connection with their partner while having sex. He points out to all the couples who, as a reminder, are all going through different struggles, that when being with someone for a long time, you both develop what he calls the bedroom technique, which fakes the emotional connection between the two while having sex and can often make either partner orgasm as quickly as possible. He then shows the couples how a sense of self with their partner in the bedroom mixed with ways to develop a more strong and centered focus on intimate contact with their partner. So while each couple had a different technique that he had them approach, they all had one thing in common: the feeling while touching. So I know when I began this section, I said it was going to be kind of hot and steamy, and so far it sounds like it isn't, but I swear it is. He just adds in these tools in this section rather than in section 1 because they help build that intimacy with their partner. So back onto the feeling while touching. Once each couple is able to successfully grasp self and successfully grasp a sense of self and exit that orgasm-centered mindset, he pushes for the couples to have a deep and passionate, memorable type of kissing, bring back the fun and foreplay, and the exciting dimensions of the sexual positions that can help light up the overall sexual experience. Since the couples have successfully pushed down the previous barriers, he shows that they both are now more confident in their self, which brings in more sexual excitement and exploration with their partner. He not only has a technique called the eyes open orgasm, but he literally means keep your eyes open and on your partner. He believes that the passion of just seeing each other and seeing you look at one another melts the mind away from everything else but each other. The goal is no longer what it used to be, which was just simply an orgasm, but it has turned into feeling one another with every inch of their body, seeing them and focusing, seeing them and seeing yourself. That brings that passion alive and helps you focus on yourself, but also to focus on your partner and how you feel, which will eventually rise up to an orgasm. The orgasm, he explains, as well as from what the couples explain in the book, is an orgasm that they've never felt before. They felt love within that orgasm. They felt passion and the strength in it. This section is a great one for the fighting and the barriers the couples had to overcome in section 1. This section is kind of like the congratulatory section for couples and show that not only hard work pays off, but that the intimacy is still there. You just have to know how to get it back. So finally, on to section 3. Section 3 is called the observation on the process. This section has 4 chapters with, once again, 4 different couples than section 1 and section 2. This section focuses on how intimacy and long-term marriages really do operate and how no couple is alone. He also points out what he calls a map of how marriage is an evolution in and of itself. And in this evolution, it shows how every marriage deals with what he calls the two-choice dilemma, which reflects back on section 1 with differentiation and the natural crucibles of differentiation and how they are able to produce their own solutions. As I pointed out when talking about this section, or when talking about section 1, he helps focus on making differentiation a good thing and not a bad thing that relationships go through. Not just people, but marriages are a growing process every single day. So rather than pointing out what the differentiation is and how to deal with it, he points out what the differentiation is as self and in the couples, and how to embrace it, to use it in a good way. With the couples in this section, it shows how differentiation is needed in order to help deal with true marital realities. While section 2 is great and steamy and passionate, he knows that there will be roadblocks that relationships must overcome, and how differentiation plays a part in that. So, some of the hardest realities marriage goes through, and what we saw through one couple. One is normal marital sadism, which is a type of kind of, I guess you could say, torture that couples can do to one another, which, whether that being the partner wants more sex or no sex at all. So, by focusing on the differentiation in marital sadism, it can help the couples in the marriage know each other's pushing points when things are appropriate, and how to see the differentiation, and rather than push it away, to pull it in closer and use the tools in section 1 to help deal with it. Another reality couples go through is balancing growth and stability. So, going back to people and couples, how they are continuously evolving and growing, it focuses on how each person in that relationship can grow at different points, which can put a strain on the stability of a marriage. He goes back to using differentiation as a good thing for different partners growing at different times, and how they can look at it as a good thing rather than a bad thing. This overall section covers a deeper look into differentiation and how it can come back and seem like a struggle after the first 2 sections were a success. It helps advise while showing that couples in a relationship can and have become more differentiated in their marriage over time, but yet they can still use that in favor to help get closer to their partner. And how it can help that marriage develop while strengthen it, to help each other have a more depth for one another, and not just love, but in difference, passionate sex, and their bond of marriage. Okay, I know that was painfully long, but this book was long. It had a lot of depth to it. It seemed more timely, reasonable to go over each section as a whole, rather than each couple in the chapter for time purposes. So, kind of going on from if it related to the class, I think it does relate to what I learned in class, not just in the chapters or lectures or tests, but also from doing my own research for our SORs. Reading the book while doing my SORs throughout the semester helped me find different things to look for in my research, and also helped me gain kind of a new perspective. As for the bias, I do think that the book does in fact have a bias. It's a great thing that he is trying to let people know that you can overcome it, but I think he focuses too much on you will overcome it, when in reality, there are probably some long-term marriages that are committed to each other that just are unable to get over these barriers, even with tools, different techniques. I think it's just very biased that this will work when it just might in fact not work for everyone. I do believe that David is credible for this book. He is a licensed clinical psychologist, as well as the director of the Marriage and Family Health Center in Evergreen, Colorado. He's the founder of the Sexual Crucible approach to integrated sexual and marital therapy, as well as the passionate marriage approach for couples, like what I was speaking about, what I read about in the book. He was also the first recipient of the Professional Standards of Excellence Award from the American Association of Sex Educators, counselors and therapists, and chair of professional education for 8 years, as well as serving on the editorial board of Journal of Marriage and Family Therapy. You can tell he's very passionate about his work and takes pride in how much he has helped couples because he continues to put himself out there to make himself, if not physically, but in some way available for people who are seeking marital help. I do think that the book was a great read. When I first got it in the mail and saw how thick it was, I was so worried that I would just lose my mind and my concentration, but I never did. I think the fact that he opened up a window to multiple couples with issues rather than just one couple with an issue helped kind of keep my attention. I would recommend it in the future to. I'd recommend it in the future once I'm married to any of my married friends, and if they are going through a rough patch. I think its strength was, like I said before, a wide variety of couples. As for the weaknesses, I really can't think of one except for the physical appearance of the book itself. I think it will help me even be more successful when I get married, and I can pass along my knowledge or even the book itself off to my partner. So I do recommend this in the future for anyone who is currently married or anyone who will be married to go look, find his book. He has more than one. This one was really good. I think that maybe once I'm married and if I am going through some struggles, I most likely will read another one of his books. But as for being in a marriage, I just can't really relate to that. So I just recommend it for anyone who is married or in the future will be getting married and kind of goes through a rough patch. So thank you for listening to me. I know it was really long, and thank you for letting me tell you about this book. I hope you all have a beautiful, strong, and long-lasting marriages, and that if you are ever in a rut, you can seek out this book for help. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your summer. Bye.